Go on. You good? Bye bye. You made that kill me. Tear off my video. Hello. Alright, bye bye. I got good. Welcome to the line, you know? Manners and respect people. Yeah man, drop a comment. Say what they on the mind. Tap up the screen twice. Manners and respect. Me a fry up one little egg. Me a forward. Even to all. Respect to all our joining. Respect. Tap up your screen and like up the thing. Manners and respect.
Daddy. Daddy. Come here. I forgot to stop it. I feel very shameful. Shame. At my day at school, right? My belly at me from there. Right? Guess what? I just stood up myself a while ago. Yeah. From morning, now week.
No clean up yourself.
You stop you something? And you go, So then you go in.
Fuck.
You see it?
Metal up. What's on the back? Oh, that. I will not happen.
Just a while ago, me I took off my shoes, me I go in.
Up on the back.
Okay.
Me a bag. Take off your bag and take off it. Take off your clothes out the door. Come on, take off your clothes out the door. Just put them in a bag right now.
Is evil and put the word in Latin. The word is evil and put the word in Latin. The word for left is sinister, right? So why did God put your heart on the left hand side? Because that's the sinister side. In Latin, sinister. And the sun is your solar plexus. In the center of your chest is the solar plexus. And your heart is on the sinister side, the left. And I'm just saying, once you understand, this is why Jesus had 12 apostles. The sun has 12 helpers, the 12 signs of the zodiac, the 12 months of the year. Once you understand Jesus is a symbol and a metaphor story, a symbolic story, everything begins to make sense. You know, he's resurrected in spring. His mother was a virgin. The 12 apostles. A lot of people are not aware of the fact that in Rome, the ancient Roman Empire, there was a religion just before the advent of Christianity. There was a very powerful, dominating religion in the Roman Empire. It was called Mithraism. Mithra was the god of light. He was called God's son, the light of the world. He died on the cross. He was resurrected after 3 days. He had 12 apostles. His mother was a virgin. It's called Mithraism. Go through the encyclopedia, look it up, and read about Mithra. He was referred to as God's son. a light of the world. He was put to death on the cross. He was resurrected on the third day. All of this stuff is Mithraism.
Luna
Then when
39.
Christianity comes along,
It's a myth.
yeah, just keep everything the same. It's like the same thing. The Sears moves into a business. We keep everybody on. Everybody stays on a job. That's what they're on the boss.
It's like Hollywood sequels.
Yeah, that's right.
Just recycle the same story.
So it's just incredible when you understand how this religion works. And you know, how many people go to church? How many people go to church and have no idea in the world what the word church means? It's an incredible story. People go to church. You spell church, C-H-U-R-C-H. But church comes from a Scottish word, kirk, K-E-R-K or K-I-R-K, kirk. So if you're a Christian on Sunday morning in Scotland, you go to kirk. Or if you're in England, you go to church. Kirk is a Scottish word which can be traced back to, because the Knights Templars, when they went on the Crusades for the papacy to the Middle East, they learned a lot of the religion of the Middle East and brought it back to Scotland. And so in the Middle East there was a worship of a goddess. Her name was Circe, C-E-R-E-S, Circe or Circe. She was referred to in the ancient Middle East, especially with the Phoenicians, Carthaginians, who was big in Carthage. The worship of the Mother Circe. Mother Circe. Well, Mother Circe becomes Mother Kirk, and then later on becomes Mother Church. But Circe is the basis for Kirk, and Kirk is the basis for church. So go back and look at this Mother Circe, and you will find in Greek mythology she was able to hypnotize people and take their minds from them under hypnosis and bring them into her house and lock the door behind them, and then magically take their minds from them and then eat them, feed off of them. That's Mother Circe, or Mother Circe, Mother Kirk, or Mother Church, and that's what Mother Church does. Well, that's what the church does. She brings in people, locks the door behind them, no reading of any books. We don't want to question nothing. We don't want to discuss nothing. Just do what you're told. Write a check and keep your mouth shut and send the church your money. So therefore, Mother Church, Mother Circe, Mother Kirk is living off of the people. I'm just amazed at how many people don't see this stuff. And
Yeah, man, whoever really.
Will tell you, well, yeah, but you know, we're supposed
I
to.
say nobody, we never really think about the research the name of church before.
10% of our income to the
You see me?
church. Tithing to
Whoever
support
really
the
think
church.
about the research the meaning of
Do
church.
you know what
What
tithing
church
comes
really
from?
means.
Have you ever looked in a book
Yeah?
and read a book on what tithing is? Tithing
Yeah.
has nothing to do with giving 10% of your income. Tithing was very simple. The ancient Phoenician Canaanites and all the ancient people in the Middle East realized each year when you grow your plants and food, you save 10% of the seeds. So you've got something to plant next year to give it back to God, so to speak. Give it back to the universe. Put it back into the ground and water, and then you will have food for next year. And so the church comes along. That's a great idea. I never thought about that. That's good. So
Good idea for Tiffany
these
that money.
goofballs, these airhead misfits, goofballs who don't have grade one, have never read anything, we just tell them that, well, you have to give 10% of your money to the church.
Yeah, man, man, it's
Normally,
certain.
we were going to take 50%.
Yeah, man, I
We won't
needed it.
take 10% unless the Christian got some money, and we'll take 20%.
Hey, well, I got a deal for you.
Yeah, I got a deal for you. I'm gonna let this go for $29.95, go up to the dome. And so you find out that, no, religion is just a business. Come on, that's all it is, just a business. It has nothing to do with anything spiritual.
That's
And
why,
anyone
that's all
who has
religion
more than
is, yo.
500
That's
brain cells
business.
all going in the same direction, watches Christian television, has to know this is the most hideous, most abominable, silly nonsense that people can be
Oh,
involved in.
what gets me, look at the private jets that these guys
Oh,
are flying
private
around
jets
in.
and diamond rings and gay haircuts and jumping around the stage with their, with their Rolex watches. and they're talking about the
Man say
Lord
pastor
Jesus
them
and
and
the
be
Lord
private
Jesus, this
jets
and that.
and golden ring
Never
and
realizing
gay
there is no
haircuts.
Lord Jesus. There was no Jesus. It's just a story of the Son. The whole story of the Bible is
Some gay
astrology.
haircuts.
Period. End of sentence. I think people pretty well have suspected and pretty well know, but but like I said, people don't like to be made fun of. They don't like to have
Yeah, they know I know celebrity
other
and
people
all that.
laughing at them. And so, since everybody in town
No,
is going
nobody
to
know.
church, if you
But a
don't go
simple
to
thing for
church,
me,
they're
no,
going to
Patrick,
laugh
for
at you
mix
and
them around,
mock you and
no
say,
matter how
oh,
me that
it
blaze up
might
and I say
even
me
affect
did
your
right,
job. So
Eh?
you need to be at church. You need to just go along to get along. Just
Eh?
sit there and let them play guitars and
That's a
sing
simple
songs
thing
and
for me,
all of
brother.
that. And you'll feel
I
good, and
say,
they'll
yo,
feel
no
good,
man,
and
you know me the
everybody's
wrong
happy.
still. God no, look
So
how
it's,
me that go on,
it's,
I
a, it's
can't
a
believe me that.
disgusting
Me have that
situation.
type of
And
personality.
we haven't even scratched the surface. That's why I'm just doing what I do. I'm just trying to awaken people to how ignorant, ill-informed, and unread the world really is. And so I've always wanted to know what's behind the curtain. And so that's what I do. That's why I do what I do. I
Yeah,
just
for
want
work
to
with the
make,
one that make
I
more
want
sense,
to
you.
make knowledge available to those who want to hear.
Yeah, although that not necessarily
Most
mean
people
I the right
don't
one.
want to hear, but for those individuals who do want to know, I want to be here to help
That
them,
make no
to
sense
show
to
them
you.
where to go for the information on how to figure out how the system is started, what the symbols mean, how the
Nah, make no
government
sense to
works,
yourself.
how things work. And I'm telling you, nothing in this world works the way you think it does, and I mean nothing.
What I don't make no
Basically, what
sense
I
to
want to do
yourself.
is I just want to enlighten people who want to know, because most people don't care to know the truth until they get in trouble. They don't want to know anything about the law, even though the law says ignorance of the law is no excuse. Well, yeah, but nobody cares about it. It's not important because it has nothing to do with basketball or Paris Hilton or anything. Now, once you're found guilty and going away for 25 years to life, in prison, now all of a sudden it hits you of the system you're living under. Now what is going to happen to you? Because now how does this
So what got
happen?
me
What's
now? Like
going
what
on?
that me do?
Well, it's a little late for you to figure it out then.
I wish I knew the law.
Yeah, I wish I knew the law and what. When you said the wrong things in court, and that got you 25 years. When you walk into a courtroom, you see the people are sitting out here in the audience, and then there's a fence and a gate, and then there's a judge and all the rest of the group inside. What do you think that fence is there for? What do you think that gate is there for? It's symbolism. The people who are sitting out here in the audience are called, that area in a courtroom is called the law of the land. Then there's a fence and a gate. On the top of the gate is a piece of wood, and that's called a bar. So, but you're not licensed to pass the bar. Only the attorneys are licensed to pass the bar. And so when your name is called, you are passing the bar. When you put your hand on that gate, by law, when you put your hand on that gate and open the gate to go in, that gate is called a water gate. And you have just now opened the water gate. The water gates are when you go through the canal. They've got gates, and when the gates open, the ship rises. And so that's why in a courtroom, when they call your name, you open the gate, that's a water gate. Now you've opened yourself up to hot water. Now you're in hot water because you've opened yourself up to maritime admiralty law. Maritime admiralty is the law of water. Because the ancient Romans said there was only two things on the earth, land and water. So there's only two kinds of law, the law of the land and the law of water. The law of the land was, of course, the law of the culture of the people who lived on a particular piece of land. But the law of the land is different in every country. You can do things in South and Russia. You can do things in China you can't do in America because it's the law of the land. But there's a bigger and far more important law on the earth. It's called the law of the high seas, the law of water. The law of water is the most powerful law on the earth. It's called maritime admiralty. That's why we say that money goes through your hands like water. No, maritime admiralty is the law of money, water. That's why it's the cash flow, the liquid asset. That's why you put your money in a bank, because it's called a river bank. And as we said before, what does a river bank do? It directs the flow of the currency, because your money has a cash flow. It's currency. Let me give you an example. When a ship pulls into harbor, it comes in on water. Say $800 million worth of Toyotas came in this morning at the harbor, and when it parks at the dock. All ships by law are female. Rocket ships, sailing ships, airships, it doesn't matter. If it's a ship, it's female. That's why captains will always say, she's a very seaworthy, she's very this, she is this, and she's that. Because all ships by law are female. Why? Because she delivers the product. The airship, 747, delivering a product to you. You paid $800 to go somewhere. We're talking business. You're transporting something. Yeah, transporting you. You're a product. The whole idea of the water, the law of water, is the law of money. So when you go through the gates on the Panama Canal, you're opening up the water gate. So when you're in court, they call your name and you put your hand on and you open the gate. You're not licensed to pass the bar. Only attorneys are licensed to pass the bar. Therefore, when you walk past that gate in a courtroom, officially, the way it actually works, and you ask any good lawyer that is intellectually honest and will tell you the truth, that when you walk in past that gate, you are officially, as far as the court is concerned, dead. You are a dead man. You do not exist. You died. And therefore, you cannot speak to the judge. Because why? Because dead people don't normally stand up and talk to you when you go visiting a cemetery. And so you have to have someone speak for you. So the attorney is your mouthpiece. He speaks for you. Why? Because in point of fact, lawfully, you are considered to be dead. You're finished. You're dead. And so he will speak for you. And because why? You're in hot water. And if he can't speak for you correctly, then somebody's going to have to bail you out. That's what happens if your ship is going under. You're taking on water, you're going under, so they're going to have to bail you out. And since your body is 90% water and you're a biological battery of water, they're going to, if you can't get bailed out, they're going to take your body, which is a biological battery, 90% water, and they're going to put you in a cell, like a battery. It's a cell. So they're going to put you in a cell, and now your body, which is a biological battery, is in the cell. That's the electricity or energy. And that energy can now be sold to corporations that need the energy. They need the corporation energy, so they can sell your body to corporations. So Sears and General Motors, General Electric will buy your body while you're in the cell. So your body, when you're in the cell, is making a lot of money for some people. You're buying your bond. And a lot of people do not know that your physical body is a security on the New York Stock Exchange.
Well, that goes back to, that had to do, that transformed back in 1913 and then 33 when we...
For the body social.
Correct.
The body social. And the whole body, like for instance, if you listen to General Motors, but General Motors is all over the damn earth. They're in India. So they're all over the earth, but it doesn't matter. If you're working for General Motors, no matter what country, no matter where it is, then you are an employee of General Motors, period. Okay? So the entire company, no matter where it is one corporation, one company, and so in law it's referred to, General Motors is referred to, and any big corporation is referred to as a body social. It's a social body. It's called Ford Motor Company. It's made up of people. It's a social body. And so it's called body politics, the body social. And so when your body is worth like $6 million on the New York Stock Exchange, You don't know that. You're not supposed to know that your body is worth millions of dollars on the New York Stock Exchange. But it's for the corporation called the United States Company, the United States Corporation, and you're security for that corporation. So when you retire, which means when you get off from work, you're retiring for the evening, or after 65 years, you're retiring. You get a benefit of the money that that's been used, that the corporation has used you for all your life. They get the use of your body, which is worth money on the stock exchange, which you didn't know. And so therefore, you get a dividend back for the use of your body, and it's called social security. Remember, your body is a security for the body social. Now they can use part of it now, which is called social security. So if you understand how this thing works, I'm not saying it's evil or bad, I'm just saying you need to understand how the world works. And, I've used this example before. If you have a two-story building and you're going to put a lot of weight on the second floor, think about it. First off, if you got any brains at all, you go downstairs, get a building inspector, get on a ladder, and go up through the ceiling tiles on the first floor, and look at the foundation of the floor you're going to build on. Before you start putting heavy equipment like printing presses and everything on the second floor, you better find out if the foundation is going to hold that kind of weight. So what you're doing is you're standing underneath of what you're going to build on. You're standing under the foundation, which is where we get our word understanding. Mm-hmm. So unless you can stand under the world you live on, then you don't understand. And so that's what I've been saying for years. Nobody seems to understand how the world works. Courts are just a game. It's a game. It's called the commerce game. And how do you play the commerce game? It's two teams. You play tennis on a court. You play basketball on a court. It's a game. How do you play tennis on a court? You play with a racket. Come on. Understand how this stuff works. It's a racket. And so, yeah, it's a big racket. It's a basketball. It's tennis. It's a game. Any game, you're going to have a referee. So the judge is a referee. When the judge walks out, everyone rises. The same thing as when a Catholic priest walks out, everyone rises. It's just a game. It's called maritime admiralty, the law of water. All of this is just the beginning of the things I want to talk about. Yeah. All of this stuff is fascinating when you begin to really understand what you're doing in this life, what is really going on. So, my feeling is if you need to wake up and realize that the world is not what you thought it was. Nothing works the way you think it does. You need to educate yourself.
Yep.
You need to have somebody explain it to you. Knock and it will be open. Seek and you will find, but ask and it will be given. I'm trying to give to the world knowledge. And that's very dangerous. I am dangerous. Real intelligence, wisdom, and knowledge can be very dangerous. The government you live under is not interested in you finding out how they do what they do. You need to understand how the world works. And the basis for America, or I should say the basis for the white man's system, the system of the white man or the white man's culture is in Europe, north, east, west, and south. Incidentally, that's where we get the word news. North, east, west, and south. N-E-W-S, news. So anything that happens in north, east, west, or south is news, right? But in Europe, north, east, and west, and southern Europe is all, even before the Roman Empire was dominated by the white man, what we call the European white man. In that system we call Europe, for thousands of years there was already a fully operational governmental system even before the Roman Empire. It was referred to the white man's system of government in Rome, and in Europe was called the Druids. The Druids were the priests, the doctors, the lawyers, the teachers, the religious leaders, they were everything. Anything that's important in white man's culture was a Druid running it. And so America is a Druid country. If you don't understand Druidism, you're not going to understand America. You're not going to understand any of it. But one of the most important symbols in the Druid system was a magic wand, like today's orchestra leaders with a magic wand.
Harry Potter.
Harry Potter with the magical wand. And Merlin the magician with the magic wand. Well, magic wands were always made out of the wood of a holly tree. It's made out of Hollywood. Okay? Period. And that's why today we have something called Hollywood. You need to realize and understand what Hollywood is, how this world operates behind the scenes, who runs the banks, who gave you your educational institutions. There's a whole world of knowledge we have not been privy to know about, and I'm suggesting that the whole world needs to wake up. The whole human race is being manipulated and exploited, and the rich are growing richer, the poor are growing poorer, and the reason why, as you said before, people have no power in America anymore. Why? Simple. Knowledge is power. Knowledge is power. You have no knowledge.
Well, the truth will also set you free.
That's it. Know the truth and it will set you free. The Bible has God saying in the Old Testament, my people are dying from lack of knowledge. And one of the most important scriptures in the Old Testament, I think is probably the most important thing I've ever heard in the Bible ever, was a scripture that says, where there is no vision, the people perish. I'll say it again, it's a very powerful thought. Where there is no vision, the people perish. That's why our country is dying. That's why our country is falling apart. That's why the whole world is dying. It's because there is no vision. People have no idea in the world what's going on. They have no vision. They don't know where they've come from. They have no idea what they're doing now or where they're going. They have no idea. They're cattle. They're just like animals out on the Serengeti plains, out there with their children eating grass, never realizing there are lions who are creeping up on the herd. The lions are organized. They know what they're doing. It's the masses of animals out there in the Serengeti plains that have no idea in the world the lions are planning dinner. And they're sliding quietly in the grass, moving up on where the human race is today. We are, as a human family on the earth today, are ourselves. Human race, there is no vision. They have no Luciferian devil worshiper and all this stuff about the New Age. Well, I'm telling you that there is, in fact, a New Age religion, which is actually the oldest religion on the face of the earth. And I personally believe that this New Age religion that the Christians are talking about is the story in the Bible. The Bible is a New Age document. And, I mean, we could go into that for hours. I could show you all the scriptures on that, showing that the Bible is a New Age document. And that I am totally, this is Jordan Maxwell saying this, I am totally convinced, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that Christianity as we have it today is a lost cause. It's a mockery. It's a joke. There's nothing very serious about Christianity anymore. It's a big joke. All you got to do is watch the TVN.
Yeah, man, my people just tap the screen 2 times.
That doesn't give you a laugh. Nothing.
Please and thanks. Like up if you right.
It's a sick joke of these effeminate, goofy, mentally disordered goofballs jumping around, hollering, hooping and hollering, and spitting all over each other and falling on the stage and going into convulsion on the stage and throwing jackets at each other.
Theater.
Yeah, it's a theater. It's a God show.
Yep.
There's nothing spiritual about it. These people are making hundreds of millions of dollars a month. It's a show. And of course, the scripture said that there would come a day when the entire world would be in the power of the wicked one. You know, so the entire world is now completely lost. They have lost their spirituality. They've lost their connections with the divine. They've lost their money. They've lost their home. They've lost their government, and now they're just losing their minds.
It's embarrassing.
It's very, very embarrassing. Adults jumping around on stage, spitting and crying and jumping around, and they call that Christianity.
And they're so righteous about it.
And they're very righteous, holier than thou. You know, Jan and Paul Crouch. So there's a real team. You know, like Bonnie and Clyde.
Yeah.
Bonnie and Clyde, Jan and Paul Crouch. Well, I had a friend who passed away, so I can talk about it now. He passed away about 5 years ago now. It was a dear, dear friend, and he had a PhD, a master's, in the Dead Sea Scrolls. He was one of the few people who actually had a master's, did his doctoral work on the Dead Sea Scrolls.
Wow.
And so he was a master on it. So I would sit and talk with him. This guy's got a PhD in the Dead Sea Scrolls. And he lived down in Huntington Beach. No, it's a Huntington Beach. No, Balboa Island. And he had gotten his PhD from Claremont School of Theology. Well, Claremont happens to be one of the 2 universities in America who actually has a full photographic representation of the Dead Sea Scrolls. Israel gave 2 complete photographic, top-of-the-line, clean, crisp photographic reproductions of the entire Dead Sea Scroll find. They gave it to America for safekeeping in case something were to happen in Israel or the World War. They did not want the Dead Sea Scrolls to be lost forever. So they made 2 complete sets and gave 2 of them. I don't know how many more they made, but they made 2 sets for America, and they're both in California. One is at the university in Claremont. Claremont School of Theology has a complete set of the Dead Sea Scrolls. Well, this doctor friend of mine got his PhD studying the Dead Sea Scrolls, and he did a doctoral thesis on the Dead Sea Scrolls, and his doctoral work was on astrology in the Dead Sea Scrolls. That was his doctoral thesis, was astrology in the Dead Sea Scrolls. No one had ever written about that. They had a little bit, John Allegro had talked about it a little bit, and some of the guys on the Dead Sea Scrolls Commission in Israel talked about it, but generally speaking, there had never been a doctoral thesis done on the Dead Sea Scrolls and astrology. So he did it, and he did it so well they got his PhD, got his doctorate because of it. Mm-hmm. So the guy was extraordinarily bright and brilliant on the Dead Sea Scrolls, the Jewish religion, the ancient Hebrew, all of that. And I used to go down to visit him all the time. I wish I could remember the doctor who was in Long Beach, who was also in the Dead Sea Scrolls Commission. He was down there in Orange County, but he was also in the Dead Sea Scrolls Commission. I'll think of his name. But anyway, so my friend who got his PhD on the Dead Sea Scrolls, we would sit for hours and listen to him. And he would explain the Hebrew religion, where it came from, who the Jews were, who wrote the Dead Sea Scrolls, and what was really in it that nobody knows. But then he told me, he said, and so after I got my doctorate, I started my own church. I incorporated my own church. And it was called the Church of the Americas, I think. He was asked to travel all over the world to give lectures on the Dead Sea Scrolls, etc. And he said, but after looking at Judaism and studying it and getting a PhD in it, I came to the conclusion that the whole entire story of Judaic Christianity is full of bull.
That's what got him to getting a PhD.
That's what from doing a PhD. and getting a doctorate in theology, because you got to really do your stuff. You got to know what you're talking about, right?
Yep.
And in order to get a PhD in it, well, because this guy was so good, he said, after looking at Judaism and Christianity and a little bit of Islam, he said, but looking at Judaism and Christianity and getting a PhD in Dead Sea Scrolls, I am totally convinced the whole thing is a crock of gold. The whole thing.
Yeah.
And he said, so there are things in the Dead Sea Scrolls that will never be given to the people. Never. It will never be told. What's really in the Dead Sea Scrolls that the church in Israel does not want anyone to know about, and they ain't never gonna know. And so he told me, and I feel better about talking about this now that he's gone anyway. He says, so when I left the church, I founded a church and all kinds of accolades. I mean, when I go to his home, he had all these certificates from universities around the world that give us an honorary doctorate here, honorary doctorate there, and very, very smart guy. But he unfortunately became a confirmed alcoholic. And I don't think I ever saw him draw a sober breath. He was one of the most decent, kindest, funny, clever, resourceful, and highly intelligent guys you'll ever want to meet. Very interesting to talk to. I mean, my God, he could talk for hours on the ancient different religions of the world, the ancient languages of the world. The guy's got a doctorate in the subject, you know? And so, especially you want to talk about the Dead Sea Scrolls. Yeah, listen to this guy. And he would tell you stuff that's in the Dead Sea Scrolls nobody's ever heard. So he told me, he said, I became so disillusioned with Christianity and Judaism that I decided I've had enough. I don't know if I'm an atheist or not, but I don't know what it is I am anymore. I'm through with the whole thing because I know too much. I've studied it too much now. And I know too much, so I'm no longer a Christian. I'm no longer care about the Jewish religion. I don't care about any of it. So he said, so with that kind of a background, PhDs, sought after all over the world to speak, you know what he ended up doing?
Drinking.
Absolutely. That's all he was. Just
Says a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah. He just said, he said, as far as I'm concerned, as long as I have a bottle and I have a nice home to live in, he did. He come from a family with money. So he had a nice home by the ocean. And it's always a beautiful home, had a little pier with his boat and everything, and he said, that's it, I just want to stay drunk. I don't even want to see a sober day. And so he told me, so I said, oh, I have a job, I go to work every day like anybody else. I said, well, where do you work? And he said, I work at a liquor store.
Discount.
Right. So, and I thought that was funny. Here's a PhD and doctorate in Dead Sea Scrolls, sought after doctor on theology and religion, all of these years of background experience, world traveler, and today, you know, he works at a liquor store. That's it. And he said, it's like going to heaven. I work at a liquor store. Got all the liquor I want, bring it home.
It just goes to show you heaven is subjective.
That's right.
Yeah.
So he told me, he said, now as so he was working at a liquor store on, not Coronado, not on Balboa Island, but that city that enters to Balboa Island. What is it?
Newport?
Newport.
Yeah.
But he was a dear friend of mine. And we sat for days and hours talked about theology and religion, etc. And he gave me stacks of documents that he had been studying, and he just gave it all to me. So here it is. There's all the stuff on the Dead Sea Scrolls. Nobody's ever going to know it, but this was my PhD. He said, take it and have it. So I've got like 4 or 5 hours of interviews with him in private, talking about the Dead Sea Scrolls and religion and Judaism and everything. But the point of all of this story is that when I asked him, well, where do you work? He said, well, I still work. I can't do anything. I can't just waste my life away, so I got to have a job, do something. So I work at the liquor store. This way I got all the free liquor I want, right? And he says, and our best customer, who comes in about every 2 to 3 weeks, our best customer that comes in, they buy cases 100 proof vodka, 100 proof this, 100 proof that, the best of the best, top of the line booze, but they order it by the cases. 4 or 5 cases of this, 7 or 8 cases of that. There's Paul and Jan Crouch. And he said, Paul and Jan Crouch, they buy more liquor than I could ever conceive that anybody could use. He said that they buy cases of hard liquor.
They're not drinking it. They give it away as a present.
Yeah, I hope so.
To the congregation.
Right, to the congregation. He said those people are profound alcoholics. He said, I've seen him come in here loop and have to have somebody holding him up, and he comes in, he's looped to the gills, and he's ordering 7 cases of this, 8 cases of that. He said, those people drink like there's no tomorrow. But if you understand, they're making hundreds of millions of dollars a month. And there's nothing else to do but drink and build beautiful homes for yourself and buy yachts and build homes and buy properties around the world and drink. Have a good time. It's disgusting. He said these people are to me absolutely disgusting because they don't mind you knowing that they are drunks and they couldn't care less. They're paying good money. And he said, my company loves them. The liquor store loves them. These people spend a lot of money at the store. He said, me, I don't care. I'll just take the cases out to the truck and put it in their big van, load up the truck. And he said, Paul and Jane Crouch are alcoholics galore. You have no idea who these people really are and where the money's coming from and what they're really doing. And he said, I've heard all the stories. I know personally their bodyguards. The bodyguards come over and get the booze, and I was sitting and talk with the bodyguards with Paul and Jane Crouch, and they said, you have no idea in the world what's going on at TBN. But that's another story. Just understand TBN has a bunch of alcoholic, money, bankers, money grubbing,
Running the show.
running a show. That's called theater, the God show. They dance around the stage and make songs and have people coming in, dancing and singing and talking about the Lord Jesus, and for $29.95, no ups and no downs, millions. And the people love it.
That's not astrotheology.
No. That's the modern day Christianity. But if you're really interested in the spiritual foundations on which ancient Christianity was built, not this modern day monstrosity of alcoholics and goofballs, but if you're really interested in the hidden occult or hidden foundation that you've never heard before, where Christianity developed its ideas from. That is an extraordinarily interesting story about the foundation, the philosophical basis for the stories in the New Testament about Jesus. So I have said this before, I'm stating it again. The New Testament story of Jesus is an encoded story. Codes. You know, you've heard a lot about Bible codes. National Geographic and the Discovery Channel and History Channel talk about the Bible codes. Well, it's true. There are codes in the Bible. As a matter of fact, in the original Hebrew Bible, I am told by the rabbis that there's at least 7 different codes encoded in the old original, not the King James Bible, but in the old ancient Hebrew writings, there's at least 7 different codes that the rabbis know about. You don't. They haven't told you. But they're encoded messages in the Old Testament and in the Torah and in some of the other old ancient writings, ancient Hebrew, which are encoded. And the rabbis are taught those codes. So when I hear people talking about Bible codes, I'm saying yes, that's legitimately a legitimate subject. There are codes. The Hebrew, the rabbis will tell you there are, in fact, legitimate codes, and they can show you.
Oh,
If you sit down with them, they'll show you. See how these words are lined up? Every other line is the same word. It's a code. It's encoded.
Wow.
So you're reading it, as if it's a history. It's not history. It's an encoded word. It's encoded
Oh, me that see that.
ideas. Telling you something in secret. The word in Latin
Keep
is
on a come back.
occult.
You
Simply
look for
means
him
hidden,
reincarnation and put him
hidden
in
from
the right
view.
place.
So it's like someone who's, it's like that movie, Beautiful Mind, where the guy was blessed
Somehow them
with the
them have a
ability
way
to
to bring back
see
his memory.
codes. And that's why you have code breakers, people who know how to look at the symbols, watch the way things are configured, and see a code in it. It's called pattern recognition, encoding a message. Well, we have that in the military, breaking codes. Well, I'm saying that the story of Christianity, of Jesus in the New Testament, is an encoded story. So if you're reading it as history, you don't have it. That's why if you're reading it as history, like all the churches do, you're going to have a totally different interpretation than the next church, and the next church is going to be totally different, because everybody's looking at it as a history, and everybody's ignorant, ill-informed, and unread about history, so everybody's got a different view on what Jesus did, or why he did this, and why he did that, and the Catholics say one thing, Jehovah's Witnesses say different, then the Mormons will tell you something different, but the Presbyterians will tell you something different, but the Baptists will tell you. Everybody's got a different story about Jesus. Everybody's got a different reason why he did this and a different reason why he did that. And you can sit all day long and listen to all the different Christian religions, and all of them will tell you everybody else is crazy and we got the truth. And everybody else will tell all the other Christian churches don't know what they're doing. But we have the truth. Jehovah's Witnesses will tell you, we got the whole truth and everybody else is full of bull. Yeah, but that's what the Mormons said about you. The Mormons said they had the whole truth and they're full of bull.
They all say.
Yeah, but the Catholic Church said both of you full of bull and they got the truth.
Exactly.
Well, but then the Baptist said the Catholic Church was full of bull and they got the truth.
Right.
Everybody's got the truth. Well, there's only one truth, so who's got it? Well, first of all, nobody's got it. I'll tell you who has the real truth. The ancient Sumerians, the ancient Babylonians, the ancient Phoenician Canaanites, the ancient peoples of the ancient world had the real truth. That's where the temples came from. All of these ancient artifacts and temples and ancient pyramids, and all these incredible temples that we find in Egypt. There's where the real truth is. The real truth is you can't build anything like the ancients did because you don't know what they knew. So once you study the ancient foundations of Christianity, and a lot that's in Judaism, but I'm only talking about Christianity right now. Once you understand that the story of Christianity and the story of Jesus in the Bible is an encoded metaphor. It's an encoded story. And that's the bottom line. Now, once you understand that, it makes sense. Let me give you an example of what I'm talking about when I say encoded story. When I was growing up, there was a book kids used to read when little kids called Aesop's Fables. And Aesop's Fables was a book that you would read to children, little kids, 4, 5, 6 years old.